Okay, I'll just read a quick statement, then I'm happy to answer your questions. Good afternoon. Today I learned of the resignation from the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank by a Canadian citizen who voiced serious concerns regarding the bank. The Government of Canada will immediately halt all government-led activity at the bank, and I have instructed the Department of Finance to lead an immediate review of the allegations raised and of Canada's involvement in the AIIB. Le gouvernement du Canada discutera également de cette question avec ses alliés et partenaires qui sont membres de la banque. La Chine, en tant que deuxième économie mondiale, doit nécessairement jouer un rôle dans la résolution des problèmes mondiaux qui sont communs à tous les pays. However, as the world's democracies work to de-risk our economies by limiting our strategic vulnerabilities to authoritarian regimes, we must likewise be clear about the means through which these regimes exercise their influence around the world. The review I am announcing today is to be undertaken expeditiously, and I am not ruling out any outcome following its completion. Thank you very much.
Minister, can you talk about the analysis that you didn't have a chance to read earlier this morning from the PBO about how many billions more it's going to cost the government to subsidize Volkswagen, and whether you're going to do the same deal with Stellantis?
Sure. Having looked at the PBO analysis, I think the main point, actually, let me back up 2 steps. So first of all, let me repeat, as I said to you earlier today, Tonda, the VW investment is fully accounted for in the budget. It is fully built in to the fiscal framework. I also want to say, having been in southwestern Ontario yesterday, we are very confident in the value of the VW investment. We're very confident in the value of the Stellantis investment, which is coming. And more broadly, we are really confident in the value of our green industrial policy. This is, as President Biden said in this House, an inflection point in the world economy. The economy that is going to provide the jobs and the growth for generations of Canadians is being built right now. And as a government, we're determined that Canada is going to seize this opportunity and get our fair share of that economy. Canada is now well positioned to do that. On the discrepancies, mais je vais premièrement répondre à toute la question, si vous me permettez. When it comes to the PBO report specifically, I think the principal point of difference comes when considering the future tax treatment of the VW investment. And the PBO has drawn one conclusion about what that tax treatment will be. And that's a hypothetical conclusion.
Do you have a different conclusion, though, or are you going to take that a different way?
OK. OK. Alors, concernant la politique industrielle verte de notre gouvernement, je suis plus convaincue que jamais que c'est important et c'est nécessaire. Comme le président Biden a dit quand il était ici, dans cette chambre, le monde entier se trouve dans un point d'inflexion. On est en train de bâtir l'économie verte pour 7 siècles. Et pour le Canada, on a un choix. Si on veut avoir une économie industrielle verte dans notre pays ou non. Et pour moi, la réponse est claire. On doit être là. On doit bâtir cette économie pour nos enfants et nos petits-enfants. Et c'est ce qu'on a fait avec le budget. C'est ce qu'on va continuer de faire.
Minister, can you address what's happening in your cabinet? We've seen Mr. Mendicino not getting briefed on a critical file after Mr. Blair was not briefed on a critical file after Mr. Sajjan said he doesn't read emails. What's happening in your cabinet that these massive cracks are showing, or there's broken telephone. What's going on?
I have full confidence in my cabinet colleagues. We work as a team. They really, our cabinet is, incredibly mutually supportive, and we're good at working together on each other's priorities. And I really appreciate that, and I appreciate the hard work of every single one of my cabinet colleagues.
You said the PBO has drawn one conclusion about the tax treatment of the Volkswagen deal. Has he drawn the wrong conclusion about the tax treatment of the Volkswagen deal?
Yes.
Can you explain it further?
L'entente avec Volkswagen, est-ce qu'on s'est fait avoir? Est-ce qu'on s'est fait avoir avec l'entente sur Volkswagen?
OK. Plusieurs questions concernant Volkswagen. Alors, je vais répondre concernant les impôts et Volkswagen. Je vais commencer en anglais et après ça, je vais continuer en français. Our intention with the investment in Volkswagen and the investment which I am optimistic we will conclude soon in Stellantis are both intended to level the playing field with the United States. We simply could not and will not accept a universe in which investment is sucked out of Canada to south of the border. And so when the IRA came into place, we understood we needed to level that playing field and ensure that Canada was competitive. The IRA tax credits are not taxable, and so it makes sense that the treatment of our incentives, which are designed to level the playing field, would be comparable, and that is how we will proceed.
Do you intend to change a law then to make that happen? Is that what you intend to do?
We will provide, we will proceed such that that's the case.
Is it the $2.8 billion mentioned in the PBO report that you differ on? Is that the sum that you disagree on with the PBO?
The difference in the number, so a couple of important things. It's really important that Canadians understand that the Volkswagen investment is fully accounted for in the fiscal framework. We knew about it when the budget was tabled, and it is in the underlying numbers. The numbers that the PBO is working off of are numbers in the embedded in the fiscal framework, which were provided to the PBO by the Department of Finance. So we're working off of the same numbers, and the point of difference is on the tax treatment of the investment. The IRA incentives are not taxable. Canada faced, when the IRA came into force, a situation where the US, frankly, had just changed the game. And we knew that Canada had to be at the table. We were just not, as a government, going to tolerate a situation in which investment was sucked out of Canada, sucked to south of the border. And I don't think Canadian workers should tolerate that situation. And so in designing our investments, we looked at the IRA tax credits, and we have successfully leveled the playing field, as you see with these investments being made in Canada. The IRA tax credits are not taxable, and so for us, the clearest, simplest route we have decided is simply to take the same approach in Canada.
Sur quel chiffre ne vous entendez pas avec la directrice parlementaire avec le directeur parlementaire? Non, excusez-moi, c'est parce que j'aimerais savoir une réponse en français là-dessus. On n'en a pas eu. Le directeur parlementaire du budget a déposé des chiffres. Vous n'êtes pas d'accord avec ces chiffres-là. Je veux que vous me disiez avec quoi vous n'êtes pas d'accord exactement. Okay. Merci.
OK. La différence en français, premièrement, deux choses et après la réponse. Premièrement, c'est important d'être très, très clair avec vous, avec tous les Canadiens et Canadiennes, qu'on a fait l'investissement dans VW avant la déposition du budget. Tous les chiffres, tous les investissements dans Volkswagen sont dans les chiffres dans le budget. En plus, les chiffres avec lesquels le chef parlementaire d'analyse budgétaire a travaillé sont les chiffres que nous avons donnés à lui. Alors, on utilise les mêmes chiffres. La point de différence concerne les impôts qui pourront être mis en place ou ces investissements. L'approche traditionnelle du Canada, c'est de mettre les impôts sur les investissements fédéraux et provinciaux dans les entreprises. Les États-Unis ont pris une différente approche avec son IRA. Quand on a analysé la situation, comprenons que le but, le cible de notre programme était de créer une situation au Canada compétitive à celle des États-Unis. On a décidé que l'approche la plus simple pour ce programme était juste de faire le même que les États-Unis font avec ces subventions.
Minister, as a former journalist, how has your government let the access to information system fall into such disrepair?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And I agree with your premise that access to information is important. I am always happy to and have in the past and will continue to work with my colleague, the President of the Treasury Board and the Minister of Justice to ensure that the system is working.
What's your reaction to CTV laying off 1,300 people, closing foreign bureaus? What impact do you think that has on the news landscape in Canada and on democracy, which your government often talks about?
Yeah, I'm sad about that. You know, all of us, maybe especially journalists of a certain age, we have seen colleagues laid off. And I think it is a shame. CTV has some really experienced, hardworking, talented journalists who Canadians have come to rely on. And so that's a real loss for Canada and Canadians.
And yet your government
The PBO says he can't estimate the economic impact or release an economic impact of the production subsidies because of confidentiality clauses in the deal. And he would like those to be waived. Is there any chance of that happening so that he can be upfront with Canadians about how effective these production subsidies are going to be?
Backing up for a minute, I do think it's important to recognize that we have a window of opportunity here. And not acting is also a choice. It would also be a choice for Canada and Canadians to say, you know what, we are not interested in being a country that is attractive for investments in this green economy, which is clearly the future, that we are not interested in building electric vehicles, which is where the car industry is going, and bearing in mind how important the car sector is to Ontario and to all of Canada. So not acting is also a choice, and I believe it would be a gravely mistaken choice. When the PBO sent me a letter, I think it was a few weeks ago, asking for the information which was the basis of this analysis of the Volkswagen investment, we responded with alacrity. That is the right thing to do. I have been involved in these negotiations, and it's also important that we get the best deal for Canada. And so some confidentiality is absolutely necessary too.
Why did the government deny the access? The Access to Information Commissioner said yesterday in her report that she'd asked for $6 million more funding to deal with the backlog. Minister Fortier said it was actually your decision. So now that you're here, why was that funding request denied?
I am always happy to work with the President of the Treasury Board and the Minister of Justice on access to information, on the access to information system, and it is absolutely an important one for Canada and our democracy. Okay, thank you very much.
It's something your government has dropped, though. You clearly have